What is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So, the topic of this video is how to have a successful e-commerce business online. So, I wanted to stretch you guys about something, a concept that I've actually read in a book once, and I've read a lot of comments on Facebook. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and it's the difference between the people that have a successful business and the people that don't, the people that fail at e-commerce and the people that succeed at e-commerce. So it's delaying gratification. Basically, it's delaying gratification. Okay, so when you're first starting out, okay, the e-commerce business, it's a test business. Okay, there's no trickety trick and how to do this or how to do that or do this and you're gonna get $1 million online. No, you're not. It's about testing. It's about finding. Okay, it's about experimenting. Okay, you're gonna have to run experiments on certain types of products or services, whatever it is that you want to do online, whether it's Shopify, whether it's eBay, whether it's Amazon, and you're going to test it. You're going to have wins and you're going to have failures, and then you're going to focus on on the ones that win, on the ones that actually give you an ROI that's positive. So, or whether you're doing SEO or you're doing you're buying traffic or you're sourcing traffic or whatever it is that your business is, you have to push, you have to experiment. Okay, you have to try and try and try. And I see that people can't do this basically because they can't delay gratification. Okay, and this is really important, guys. This is really, really important. Okay, I'll give you one example. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's an experiment that was made to a bunch of kids basically to see. It's a psychological experiment to see which traits would actually represent for people when they were kids, when they were young kids, and then when they're adults to see which one of those kids were successful or not. So it was called the marshmallow test. So basically, they got kids in a room. They left them alone with one marshmallow, and so when the person came back, okay, so when the person came back, um, so the experiment, so the experiment is basically to see if kids can delay gratification and to see what traits in that represented when they were adults, if they can like have any correlation to see if they were successful or not as adults with any traits when they were kids. So, and the trait that was most found was delay gratification. Delay gratification. So they locked these kids in a room one by one, and they were put in on a table with one marshmallow there. And the person that was part of the experiment said to the kid, um, "Okay, so I'm gonna leave. You're gonna stay here, and if you don't eat the marshmallow when I come back in 2 minutes, I will give you another marshmallow. So you will have two marshmallows instead of one." And then the person left, and the kid was left alone in the room just with that marshmallow on the plate. And they actually videotaped the kids to see if they eat it or not, and if they did eat it, did they lie or what was their reaction. And then they kept track of these kids for 10, 20, 30 years later, to see what the results were and what have developed in their kids. To see, the point of this experiment was to see if IQ or EQ, or what was it that the kids had when they were small, when they were children, to when they were adults. And basically that's it. So they were divided into two groups the when the results came in. So there then were the kids that they ate the marshmallow, and some of them lied and said, I don't know where it went, or some things like that, like children type children type of stuff. And the other kids, they didn't. They just left it there. they just they didn't eat the marshmallow because they knew that if they held on, they will be able to get a second marshmallow. Now we're talking about kids that are 3, 4, 5, max 6 years old, and but this translate into adulthood. Okay, now think it through. Okay, what were these kids thinking about, the successful ones, that actually got them through? And by the way, the results of the experiment show that those kids that were able to delay gratification were the ones that were most successful in the future as adults. They were the ones that had the healthier lives. They were the ones that had the most money. They were the ones that could live an actually happier life, not the ones that did not, that did not be able to delay gratification. Okay, so keep that in mind and think it through, how does this apply to me, and how can I take advantage of it? Okay, so what is this exactly? This is thinking long term. Now for the kid, if he's 4 or 5 years old, maybe his long term for his brain, maybe it's 2, 5, 10 minutes, because he know is if, okay, so if I postpone pleasure now, I'll be able to get more later on. And that's what he did. Actually, that's why the kids that waited, they waited because they wanted two marshmallows instead of one. So maybe maybe what you need to change in your life is the perspective that you've had on life for delaying gratification. Okay, you need to always think ahead. You need to always think to the future. Okay, what can you optimize now for the future instead of now for now, not for the short term, but for the long term? How can you optimize that? Okay. Now think, maybe you're at a job that you hate. Maybe you're studying something in college that you don't like, or you would never, I don't know, do that as a profession, or maybe you're in a relationship that you're actually not happy with. What is exactly, now think it, what would you want to do here 30 years into the future, or 20 years into the future, or even 40 years into the future? um, and start doing it now. Start optimizing it for now. There's a saying that goes, um, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So you can start now. Okay, just start now and optimize for the future. Delay gratification. Okay, maybe you don't need to go out to parties every Friday and Saturday nights. Maybe you don't need to go out for drinks every Friday and Saturday nights. Okay, how about just stay home and, I don't know, maybe you read a couple of books, or maybe you have a business online and you work a little bit more at it, or maybe you want to learn and just I don't know, watch educational YouTube videos, or maybe you bought a few courses, watch those. What can you do now that will optimize you for the long term, 5, 10, 20, 30 years into the future? Okay, basically what I'm trying to say is, how can you invest yourself into yourself? Now I'm not just talking about money. You can invest time, you can invest health. What can you invest in yourself now that will optimize you to be happier into the future? Not happy, just happier into the future. So basically that's the point of this video. And guys, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.